Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to be joining and getting away shortly with the phenomenal Daniel Char. Stay tuned. Hey,
Hey,
Daniel.
can you hear me?
I can hear you good. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yep. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's getting better each and every single day. How you doing?
Good. Let me find a good angle. We'll go clear over here.
Can you see me good?
Yep.
All righty. And where you calling in from?
I'm at the boardroom in our office.
All righty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Are you where are you? You calling in from Canada?
yeah, in Toronto, Canada.
All righty.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You right there where Dan Locke is.
No, he's in Vancouver.
Oh, Vancouver. Okay.
He's in
All righty.
Vancouver. He's on the other side.
All righty. Okay. I know you
Like
went.
Florida versus California.
All righty. Okay. I
Yeah.
know you wasn't that far from one another.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on my platform and conveying value to my audience. And I told a great friend of mine about you. His name is Gordon Bazar, and he generates millions of dollars in the private equity sector.
Perfect.
And he went to your website and he loves what you're doing in the entrepreneurial space, especially with the real estate investing side of it. And he wanted to see if y'all can do a 30-minute conference call, see how y'all can create value for one another.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would love that.
All righty. So you want me to send you an email with some dates and
Sure.
time?
Yeah, let's do an intro and let's get on a call to see how we can work together. I got a group right now. It's called the Capital Raising Academy. So I
Hmm.
have people in there,
Okay.
and we do monthly masterminds, and maybe we could even have a mastermind session with my attendees. So
Okay.
it's growing fast. We just launched, I think, less than a month ago, and we're going to reach 100 students by tomorrow.
Mm.
Um, and then our goal is to have probably 500 before the end of the year. So it's going to be good.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. And I'll let Gordon know, and I will send out some dates and times and introduce you to him, and see y'all can get the ball rolling with creating value for one another. But I know it'll be a great introduction with what you're doing and what he's doing in the private equity world.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect.
All righty. Are you ready to rock and roll?
Let's rock and roll. So is it just going to be you and me, or was it the live? How is it going to work?
Yeah, well, actually, the actually well, actually, we're gonna be live, and then people, pretty much be tuning in.
Okay, cool.
All
Yep.
right.
All right, let's do it.
All righty. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Arthur Robinson Jr. I'm the creator and host of the Powerful Interviews podcast. And today I have another special interview for each and every one of you. Today I have a wonderful person on the show, and he's a great friend of mine. His name is Daniel Char. For those that don't know Daniel, let me explain to each and every one of you about this incredible, phenomenal man. Daniel Char is a powerful mortgage broker. He has helped and finance over $150 million worth of real estate. And he actually is the co author of the updated book, which is called The Science of Getting Rich. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome the one, the only, the powerful Daniel Char to the show.
Hey, everybody. Hey, thank you so much, Arthur. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing great and it's getting better each and every single day. How you doing?
Oh, I love it. Love it. Sun is shining, and the weather's amazing right now. In Canada, it's really cold. We got two weathers, two seasons. It's winter or summer.
Ooh.
So now we're hitting the summer season. So I'm happy about that.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you, Daniel, for taking time out of your busy schedule to educate me and the audience worldwide about the power of real estate investing and how to raise capital to fund your real estate deals. I gladly appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I love real estate. I started out in banking many years ago, about 15 years ago, and I noticed that the wealthiest people, the most relaxed people, were the ones who are invested in real estate. What I mean by relax is they're just living their lives and money's coming in while They're just living their lives. And I'm like, what's going on here, right? So there's actually a secret on how to, it's not a hidden secret. The secret is out there, but not a lot of people know how to leverage that platform of real estate. Not a lot of people understand how to utilize the rules of real estate. So that's what I do for my clients. My following is I expose things that are out there in plain sight, but you have to take advantage of those concepts. That's basically what I do.
Yeah. To everyone that's listening and watching right now, I highly recommend go and get your pen and your pad right now. My great friend Daniel Char is going to break down layman's terms about how you can raise capital, and we're going to talk about the power of real estate investing. Is that correct, Daniel?
Yeah, that's correct. So, well, I could dive right into it. So basically, most people, they only know that there's only one channel for money. And let's say if you're trying to go buy a house, you naturally will just go to your local bank, right? And that's considered A, financing. So there's actually three channels of financing. There's A, there's B, and there's C. So A, B, and C. And usually what happens is when people get turned down by their local bank for financing, they just stop and they go, oh, well, my bank said no, they're not going to give me money, and that's it. And they continue to rent, or they just live their lives. They live with their family members, and that's it. They don't end up looking for other sources of financing for real estate. But there's B financing, there's C financing. So B financing is more favorable for people who are self-employed. They don't report a high income to the government. They could be cash employed. They could be roofers, contractors, truck drivers, right? So they make a lot of money, but on paper, they don't show a lot, right? So that's where they fall apart when it goes to the banking system. So banks want to see net income. And if you're self-employed, your goal is to show a low net income so you can write everything off and pay less taxes. So that's great for you when you're paying less taxes, but it's not great when you're trying to borrow money. So anybody you're trying to borrow money from, they want to see on paper how much you make, right? So B financing is more favorable to people who are self-employed because they don't really care of what you are reporting to the government. They care about what you're actually bringing in as revenue. And also they're more favorable to people who have bruised credit, whereas your local bank, once you fall behind on your credit cards, they're going to say, nope, I'm just not going to give you money. On the B side, they're going to say, yeah, we'll still give you money, but we're going to charge you a premium, right? And then there's C financing. C financing, I'm sure you guys heard the commercials. You own a home, you're approved, right? So no questions asked, you're approved. Those guys are called equity lenders. They don't care about the client financials. They don't care if you're not making any money. They don't care about if you got damaged credit. As long as the property is good, as long as there's equity in the property, they will finance the deal. So they are the most expensive of the bunch, but they are the most lenient of the bunch, right? So that's what I try to express to my clientele, that just because one channel says no, doesn't mean that you can't get money on the B side or the C side. And yes, it does cost more money. Yes, they do charge a premium, but at the end of the day, if you're trying to invest in real estate, you're not the guy paying the mortgage, right? It's your tenant. So as long as the numbers work, so what if you're paying a little bit more on the mortgage rate? So what if you're paying more on fees? You could write everything off, and at the end of the day, it's covered by your tenant, right? That's the whole purpose. So that's basically what I teach. I teach something called the heartbeat method of investing. I came up with that method where I show people how to never lose another real estate deal again. The reason for that is, as a financier, I see a lot of deals. And a lot of times the deals, they look good for the real estate investor. A lot of times investor will come to me and say, hey, Dan, I got this property. I got under contract. I bought it for 50,000 under market value. Just by getting this deal, I'm already making 50 G's. I'm like, cool, good. And they're like, okay, I'm going to put a tenant in there on the top and the bottom, and I'm going to make net $1,200 a month. Good. Okay, cool. And
Like
then
a duplex.
and then yeah, and then they say, well, all I got to do now is spend 30 grand, and then I could increase the value, and I'm gonna make an extra 50 grand. I'm like, great. So everything's good, right? They're making a lot of money just by buying this property or having it under contract.
Mm.
Then they come to me for the financing, and I ask like few questions, and the whole deal falls apart.
Mm.
And I ask, okay, well, how much are you putting down payment? Oh, I only got 5%. Okay. What's your credit like? My credit's crap. What are you bringing in on income? Nothing, right? So when I ask all these questions, the whole deal falls apart. And they go, well, and also when I ask, what is your expectations on mortgage rates, on fees? And they want to pay no fees. They want to pay the cheapest rates in the market. And you see where the problem lies? They want everything that's great for them. And I respect that. But at the end of the day, what I tell my investors, when I tell my clients is, keep in mind that the banker, your lender, doesn't matter where you're getting money from, whoever is giving you the money, they're your business partners. All right. Most of the time, when you're buying a property, you're only putting 20% down payment, but you're asking for 80% of the money, right? So you're buying a house for $500,000. The bank's going to say, you put in 100 grand, I'll put in 400K. So they're putting 4 times the amount of money that you're putting in. So are they not your business partner? So not only does the deal have to look good for you, because if the deal doesn't even look good for you, you're not even going to touch it. So we already know you're making money. You're going to get rental income. You're going to appreciate the property. So we already know the deal's good for you, but you're putting only 100 grand. The bank is going to put $400,000. So keep in mind, where's the money coming from? From banks. It's coming from the shareholders. It's coming from investors. Now, when you invest in a bank, you expect that they're doing their due diligence to protect their shareholders, right? So not only does the deal has to look good for the real estate investor, it has to look good for the bankers too, because they're not going to invest their shareholders' money just to lose the money, right? So that's what I always tell my clients. You have to package your deal. You got to structure your deal where you're making money, but also the deal makes sense to the guy who's giving you the 400K. If you're expecting the lowest rate, no fees, the lowest down payment, you got bad credit, you can't prove income, they're just going to say, you know what, I'm not going to fund the deal. Find somebody else. They're just going to walk away. They're not even going to offer you something else. They're just going to say, thank you, next, right? So that's why I teach positioning is so important. Like when you go to Shark Tank, you go to Dragon's Den, you always see the sharks sitting on the chairs, and people have to pitch the sharks a deal. And they ask a few questions. What are your sales? What's your experience like? And what are you looking for? And they always have a great product. Oh man, like I got this great product. I don't know, swimming trunks or a software program. The product doesn't matter. It's the deal. How many sales you got? How much experience you got? And everything just falls apart. What are you asking for? Right? And this is why those shows are so important, because it teaches you how to structure your deal. If you have no sales, how can you ask somebody to give you $500,000 and only give up 10% of your company? If you got no sales, you should be giving up 50% of your company for whatever, right? If you got sales, then that's a different story, right? So that's all positioning. And that's why I love those shows too. It's all about pitching, structuring, and they're your business partners. And that's one thing that a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of real estate investors forget. They think that the bank or the financier, they're the enemy. I want to get the lowest rate. I want to put the lowest amount. Okay, good. I get it, right? You don't want to pay for the interest, and I get that, right? But keep in mind that they're getting money from somewhere else too, and they got to get paid too, right? So if you're borrowing money at 3%, they're borrowing money at probably 1%. So they're making a 2% spread, right? So money is coming from all different sides of the coin, but you got to make sure that it makes sense for everybody, or else there's no deal. And if you don't close your deal, then you're just wasting time, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. That lender is going to become your best friend. And that lender basically wants the deal to get, finalized. We're
Yeah.
finalizing that transaction, but it has to make sense for everybody that's involved in that equation, for the investor side and as well as you. But
Yeah.
if it don't make sense and basically they can't generate, income off of that deal being finalized, they're not going to move forward with the deal because it's something on your end that doesn't look right. It could be, your debt to income ratio. It could be a lot of key factors. But if the deal makes sense, that lender wants that deal to basically go through because, they get a piece of the pie. The investors are happy and as well as the shareholders are happy.
Exactly. Exactly. Like it's so simple. We can go, hey, would you buy a Honda Civic for $100,000? The answer is no. But if I ask you, would you buy a brand new Lamborghini Aventador retail at 400,000? Would you buy that car at 100 grand? You're gonna say yes, because that's a good deal, right?
That's right.
So okay, great. But now, no matter which side you're going on, whether you're buying the car or a house, you still got to get the financing, right? So now you got the car. That's the deal. That's the property, right? The deal is one component, but now you still need the financing. Without the money, there's no deal, right? Unless you got cash, right? So I always tell people, just because you got a property under contract, you only got 50% of the equation. You still need the money to close. If you don't have the money, the property means nothing. If you buy the car, you find the car you like, but you can't sign the papers and get the bank to finance you, it doesn't mean anything. You can only look at the car at the dealership. We're just window shopping. That's it, right?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
same thing, right?
Now, where are you originally from? And where you originally from, do you have, friends and family members that are investing in real estate where you're originally from?
I was born and raised in Toronto. My whole family is investing in Toronto. I'm starting to move out to the outskirts. What's happening in Toronto right now is we call it the Manhattanization of Toronto. It's becoming like New York pricing. What I mean by that is like a 600 square foot condo is going for like $850,000. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. And then not only is it going for $850,000, you still got to pay for the maintenance fees. You still got to pay taxes just to complete the transaction. I don't know if you guys have that in States, but in Canada, we got something called land transfer tax. So just because you bought the property, you're not done yet. You still got to pay the government still got to get paid, right? They always got a piece of the pie.
Yeah, because the government owns the land.
Exactly. And where did the government buy the land first? I don't know. Right?
Wow. That's absolutely true.
Right?
Now, do you do a lot of pre-construction deals?
Yeah.
And do you do a lot of pre-construction deals that have great subdivisions?
What do you mean by great subdivision?
Now I know over here in the States, they have great subdivisions in regards to they're doing a lot of pre-construction deals, but like let's just say like their pre-construction deals, it may cover like 5 acres of land, and basically some of the roads and the highways, that's basically real estate as well. So they're just basically get into real estate investing with owning the roads or some of the highways that's
Like development?
like, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I don't really do that. So I do I will help somebody buy a pre-construction home. So let's say a builder bought the land and they're going to develop the land and sell condos or houses. And they will sell the house to a buyer, and then I will finance that house when it's completed, or the condo when it's completed. That's what I do.
Okay.
But in terms of the development of the land, I don't touch that. Yeah. So my expertise comes in from helping people reduce their debt. That's number one. Like my clientele is usually someone who's going through a rough time. They've owned their house already. So most of my clientele are current homeowners, and they usually have bought their house maybe 10 or 15 years ago, and life happened. They're paying for a car loan. They got a line of credit. They're putting the kids through college, whatnot, and they're trying to renovate their home, and their bills are up to their neck. So those are my average clientele, and where they come to me for help is they are not able to handle their debt load, and they go to a bankruptcy specialist. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose it all, or I gotta sell my home, and they don't know the value of their home. And over the last 10 or 15 years, the value of their home went up dramatically. Like in Toronto, when I say dramatically, I'm talking about in the last 15 years. If you bought something for $500,000, it could be worth $2 million today. Like that's what I mean by dramatic, right? But
now, is that the appreciation value?
That's appreciation, yeah. So I've seen properties that were purchased 15, 20 years ago for $500,000, and now today it's worth $2 million, right? But keep in mind that people's spending habits or their lifestyle doesn't change, right? So they might have bought that property 15 or 20 years ago and at a $50,000 salary. So they were making 50 grand and they bought this house for $500,000. And fast forward today in 2021, that house is worth $2 million, but they don't realize how much it's gone up, right? Because not everybody knows the market value, right? They just go to work and they come home and that's it. And they watch the news and whatever. But now they got a lot of debt and it's right to their neck. And every day they come home, they open up their bills and they're like, credit card, 20% interest rates. And now they come to me and they're like, should I claim bankruptcy? And then I look at their house and I'm like, holy smokes, you own a lot of equity, right? That's free money. Why don't we just wipe out all these debts in one shot? And that's when the light bulb hit. So that's my average clientele. We wipe out all the debt, and then we go into a restructure mode. So I start coaching them. Okay, we cut the bleeding. That's one component. And now we have to start building for retirement, because most of these clients are in their 50s. They got 15 years ago and they're hitting retirement. So we're going to expect an income drop in 15 years, right? So I always tell them, this is your best opportunity now to invest in more real estate, because in the last 20 years, you experience your house going from $500,000 to 1.5 or $2 million. You're technically a millionaire. I know it doesn't feel like it, but you're technically a millionaire, right? But what we got to do now, we got to do that again. Because what happened for you from when you were 40 to or 30 to 50, we got to duplicate that until you're 80 or 90, right? Because if your house keeps going to $3 or $4 million and now you're making 50,000 and you retire, you're going to make less money when you retire, right? And a common thing that I see with retirees is they sell their asset. They cash out $2 million, $3 million. They think they're rich, only to buy another property for the same value. So nothing really happened. You sold your $3 million house, but all the houses across the street from you are $3 million. So you're back to the same boat.
Right.
So what you got to do now is, I call it stacking. Not only do you have to buy another asset today, not 20 years from now, you got to buy multiple properties so that by the time you get to retirement age, you can sell two of them or one of them, and you still have another in your back pocket generating cash flow, right? So that's what I basically teach my clientele. Like you got to buy multiple pieces of properties at the same time, so that when they go up in value, you're not trading properties. You're not selling high and then buying high again, because nothing's really happening.
Right.
The only person that's getting rich is the government and the realtor when you do that, and the bank when you pay the penalty, right?
That's right.
So yeah.
Wow. That was incredible information that you conveyed to the audience as well as me. Now, let's talk about apartment investing. Now, do you invest in a lot of, multifamily apartment complexes? And when you increase the NOI, the net operating income, would you increase the value to that commercial property?
So I personally have not invested in multifamily. I am looking to do that right now. Most of my investments have been pre-construction condos. My clients, we do house hacking where they buy a single family home and then they renovate the basement and turn the basement to a rental. And then we do the second home investing, like a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex. But me, myself, I've never personally invested in multifamily. I'm looking into that with my team. And it makes a lot of sense because you start to run into problems when you buy 4 or 5 properties because you got 4 or 5 roofs to fix. You got like it's better to fix one roof and you got 20 people living under one roof, right? So the whole concept, the economies of scale makes a lot more sense with multifamily, but not a lot of people understand it. And there's a lot of fear and mindset issues when it comes to it because most of the multifamily apartment buildings are of a higher dollar amount, right? And where the cap rates actually makes or are higher, especially where I live, are in the outskirts. Like in Toronto, you're not going to get a good cap rate. Like you're going to see a property that's like $3 million and you're going to see a small cap rate, like 3% or whatever. And it's due to the location, right? So a lot of times we're going to see investors go to the outskirts 2 hours away from Toronto to buy something that has a better cap rate. So, but that is something me and my team are looking into because it does right now, which with the crazy prices of real estate, it really doesn't make sense for me to buy my next property and only have 2 tenants covering the rents. Like right now, we're in a negative cash flow environment in Toronto. Like we're in an environment where people are buying condos at $850,000 and they're putting a tenant in there and the tenant's only paying like $2,300 a month. So you're negative like 1,500 or 2 G's a month. What I did notice that a lot of Canadians have a different mindset when it comes to investing than Americans. Americans are more about cash flow. It's all about the numbers, right? I noticed that with Canadians, there's a lot of appreciation model. They want to buy something and want to watch it go up, right? So I like to call them a lot of times accidental investors. They're not real investors. And I see this happen a lot where it happens to a lot of my clients where they bought a condo, something went wrong and they couldn't close and they got stuck with it. And then they turned it into a rental property. And now they're considered an investor, right? Or they bought a condo and the whole purpose was to put their kids in school. Their kids didn't end up going to school and then they rented it out. And now they're an investor. And we saw that happen with multiple homeowners where they refinanced their home, they bought a condo, and now they're investors, right? Yes. But and they never looked at numbers. They never looked at NOI or cap. They never looked at any of that. All they did was they bought a condo. It was cheap at the time for $100,000 or $200,000, and now magically it's worth $700K. Wow. And they're in the investor category, but I don't consider them real investors.
Right.
I consider a lot of the American models where you're looking at cash flow. Like a lot of Americans that I talk to is I don't touch it unless the cash flows. If the numbers don't work, I don't even bother tying up the property. And that makes sense to me. And basically, when you buy properties, you're buying properties on cash flow, and if it does appreciate, that's gravy. That's a bonus, right? Where a lot of Canadians, they invest their hard-earned money on the bonus, on the appreciation. I see that a lot. And a lot of times they go, well, Daniel, I don't need cash flow. As long as I break even, I'm happy. I'm like, that's not the right model to follow. Like,
break even shouldn't even be a category.
Exactly.
You're making money
or you're
losing money.
That's it.
Break even is basically you're still losing.
Exactly. You
know, so like with your clientele, you actually are educating entrepreneurs and business owners where they actually are taking an active income and they want to flip it into passive income.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, they're focusing on one door, which would be a house. But, you know, when you get into multifamily, you have, you know, let's say you got, you know, 30 units or 50 or 100 units under one umbrella.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cash flow that's actually coming in from that apartment building, you know, versus one house.
Exactly.
And then you sell your house, you know, a lot of real estate investors that's into the residential space, they got to pay a lot of capital gains tax.
Yeah.
For the entrepreneurs that don't know, can you explain to them actually what is a capital gain tax?
Like I said, like the government wants a piece of everything. So if you make money on your deal, the government wants a portion of that. I believe I don't know what
15%.
50%.
15.
Right? They add 50% of the capital gains to your tax bracket.
Right.
But if you buy a home to live in as a primary residence and then you sell it, as of right now in Canada, there is no capital gains tax. But they are talking about implementing one.
Wow.
Like Canada's a socialist country, man, where we got income tax, we got sales tax, we got land transfer tax, we got capital gains tax, we got environmental tax, we got carbon we got so many every day I wake up, I'm like, who am I going to pay today?
They got so many taxes.
It's like I go to work so other people don't have to.
Absolutely. Like, it's like the higher you go up, the less you pay in taxes. The Internal Revenue Tax Code is designed for entrepreneurs and business owners that are winning in the tax code sector. Like, for example, you look at Jeff Bezos, he's the owner of, you know, Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, he's worth over $100 billion, but he pays
I love that number.
In taxes.
The zero number is one of my favorite numbers. Whoever invented zero is a genius.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Daniel, let's talk about the power of being an entrepreneur. Now, the word entrepreneur means entreprendre, and it was a Latin word, and it was invented in the 15th century in France. And a gentleman by the name of John Baptist, he invented the word, and over 300 years later, that word still exists, which is entrepreneur. So entre means between, and ponder means to take. So it means to take lower productivity and increase it to higher productivity. Can you explain to the audience how are you increasing your productivity in your business?
So every day you gotta look for value, right? And you gotta add value to your existing clientele and find new clientele. And the only way you can do that is by scaling your business. That's it, right? Because if you only work for yourself, you're technically self-employed, right? But an entrepreneur has to take risk. So my definition of an entrepreneur is actually somebody who is actually writing checks. So you got to be hiring people, you got to be paying for stuff, you got to be hiring companies to help leverage and expand your business. Other than that, you're just self-employed, right? So you got employees that work for somebody, you got self-employed that you work for yourself, and then you got entrepreneurs that are trying to create something, and you need teams. And am I answering your question properly? I think I am. I kind of,
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
but that's my main definition. Like every day I wake up, uh, every time I close a deal, I just got fired, right? Because basically I completed that transaction. Now I got to look for a new transaction. I need a new customer, right? So the goal is to keep looking for new customers. Whereas if you're an employee, you don't got to look for any customers because the boss or the company is looking for the customers and you're just servicing the customers, right? And that's why you get paid that steady stream of income, because it's a guarantee. Like all I expect from you is do this, and that's it. So you take no risk. The only thing that you're trading is your time and your effort. That's it. And your knowledge base. But an entrepreneur, there's no guarantees, right? Like I dumped like 300,000 plus, almost $500,000 into my business on ventures. And some of them worked and some of them did not work. And guess what? Did I have the $500,000? No, I didn't. I had to borrow it. So I was borrowing money that I did not even have to take risk in order for a chance to make money. Right? Whereas if somebody says, hey, I want a job and I expect to get $100,000 salary. So the expectation is you go to a company, you wake up every day, you go to a job, you work 37 and a half hours or 40 hours a week, and you work 52 weeks, you expect your vacation pay, you expect your time off. After 5 o'clock, you turn off your phone, you get your lunch breaks, and you expect $100,000. You're guaranteed that $100,000. Whereas an entrepreneur is, I make zero. I'm gonna work more than 40 hours a week. I'm gonna work 80 hours a week with no guarantee, no health plan, nothing. And I'm gonna do work. And even though I do work, if the client's not satisfied, I could still lose the deal. Right? And I got to put money into the deal. So right now, I got a small team, and I still make nothing. I'm running the Amazon model. Daniel Char is not profitable, right? Because in order for me to grow, I need to invest. And if I'm taking money out of my company and paying myself, then my company is going to stay stagnant, right? That's so right. What I do is I pay myself very little and I grow the company. I hire employees. I contract other companies to help push my message. I produce events and they all cost money, right? And that's the difference between an entrepreneur and someone who's an employee. The employee is not willing to take that risk. Like, for example, I got an event coming up tomorrow. And that event is a free event, complete free. I'll put it in the chat, or I'll give you the information. But for me to deliver a free event, it costs me $5,000.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like
events cost.
For me to give free information, it costs me $5,000. And then and then I got to deliver value for free. I got to give a free report. Like this cost me money to create, cost me time, energy. And I'll give a report to everybody who's watching. And it talks about my strategies, how to never lose a deal again. I talk about the 3 channels of financing in there. But anybody who registers for my free event, they get my free report. Then they come to my event and I get free value. And only after, if everything made sense and I delivered enough value, can I ask for you to sign up and work with me. And there's no guarantees.
Absolutely.
There's no guarantees. I could lose 5 G's right there, right?
Absolutely.
That's it, right? So that's
How many people that you have coming to your events?
So we have a few events coming up. So the one tomorrow, I think we got about 400 people registered. And usually there's a 15 to 25% show up rate. So we're expecting maybe 150 people to show up tomorrow. There's another event I'll be speaking at. I can also give you the info for that one. It's with Edward Snowden. For those who don't know who Edward Snowden is, he's the whole reason why we cover up cameras on our laptops. He used to work for the NSA, the CIA, and he's the one who exposed that the US government was spying on their citizens. So he's in Russia right now. So we got an event coming up on April 24th. And I'll give you the info for your viewers to attend that event. It's completely free as well. And see, like all these events that we're producing, it cost us a lot of money. Some events that we produce cost $80,000, and we produce it and we give it to people to come for free, and in the hopes of we give enough value that eventually you want to work with us. And that's how we make money in the back end. And that's the difference between an entrepreneur and an employee. Whereas our team, our staff, we got to pay them regardless. Even if we don't make money, we got to pay our employees, or else they're not going to work for us anymore. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And yes, when it comes to live events and live seminars, you know, it's definitely going to cost you. And, you know, it definitely is basically, you know, processes and systems you have to put in place for, you know, to put, you know, them butts in those seats. Now, once they're there and you convey a lot of value, you know, to the audience that are basically craving for that type of information, then, you know, you have a chance to basically connect with them and upsell them on your products and services, you know, in regards to they want to work with you and they're really serious about, you know, becoming a real estate investor, or they want to learn how to raise capital to get their real estate deals funded the correct way.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's where you come in at along with your team. And that I commend you for that, you know.
Thank you, man. Did you hear about the Wealth Summit? We got shut down. That was with Grant Cardone and Kevin Hart.
I interviewed Grant.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Awesome guy. I love
him and his wife.
Oh, beautiful, man.
Yes.
So I'm a big 10Xer. I started out in my business. I was struggling as a mortgage broker. I saw one of Grant's video of him closing people just on the phone. And from there, I bought his course, and my life just took off from one course. And then I found out that one of the guys in Toronto, my mentor right now, Sunil Tosiani, he was actually producing an event and having Grant and Kevin Hart as a keynote speaker. And then he asked me to become a speaker. So I was actually supposed to speak on stage at an event at the Canadian Wealth Summit with Grant Cardone, with Kevin Hart, with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, like all these big players. And then 10 days before the event, we got shut down due to COVID. So that event is still going to happen. It's still going to happen. They're just talking to the team right now to find a new date, but I'm very excited for that. But just to tie that into what you mean by entrepreneurship is, look, the producers dumped over $1 million to set up that event. And there's no guarantees. Who knew that COVID was going to happen, right?
Yeah, COVID affected a lot of businesses last year.
Exactly. So imagine you dumped $1 million plus to hire the keynote speakers, to market the event, to pay for the venue, pay for the food, pay for your team to set everything up. And then 10 days before, the government shuts everything down. What happens then, right?
That's right. That's why a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners and business leaders, they start doing virtual events like Zoom. Equity shot through the roof.
Yeah.
Last year going into this year, it's like worth close to $1 billion.
Yeah.
Just with Zoom, just with the platform alone, because, you know, COVID, you know, it affected a lot of businesses where people can't come and experience the live event, but the virtual events, that's what a lot of people are doing, or they're doing live webinars.
Yeah, I love it because we're all connecting. Like Zoom was around, but it was just the adoption, right? Not a lot of people were used to it. They weren't open to it. They were giving I prefer to meet people face to face, right? Until an external force forced you to shift, right? And you know what? That's with business. Sometimes you got to adapt to change. Sometimes you got to predict the change.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if you don't, the change will force you, like something, an external force will force you to adapt. And if you cannot adapt, you're going to get wiped out. I know some realtors right now who are doing very, very well because they don't have to physically go to the house. They don't need to do anything. Like they're just going to show their clients the video, and the clients are like, hey, yep, I like that house. We're good to go. And they're doing everything online on social media, and they're doing very well. Then I know some realtors that are back in the Stone Age, right? Like they're just like, as we speak now in April of 2021, they're just setting up their Facebook account. They're just setting up their Instagram. Like you're already in the dust right now, because not only are you just trying to set it up right now, you still have to learn how to use it. And I can tell you, like when I first started out doing Zoom meetings and all, like I wasn't comfortable. I was not comfortable seeing myself, listening to myself. I felt weird, right? And that took me a while to get over that. And same thing with taking selfie videos, right? It took me a long time. So for people who are just starting now, they're getting left behind. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't catch up. It just means that the opportunity that was sitting there waiting for you to just grab that market share, that's gone. And once that opportunity is gone, it's gone. You got to look for new opportunities now, right?
Absolutely. Well, Facebook owns Instagram.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners where they're shifting their mindsets and saying, you know what, I got to build an online community by, you know, getting connected to these delivery systems, you know, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. They are all delivery systems. You can, you know, publish your content on these delivery systems and, you know, just build an audience just with organic traffic on those platforms. So that's extremely lucrative for entrepreneurs and business owners. But then you have a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners where they are actually moving forward with, you know, offline strategies as well to generate more business.
Yeah, I like the combination of both.
Right.
Like if you go full online, that's great. You can reach more people. But the connection of face to face is still more powerful. The only problem is you can only meet so many people face to face in 24 hours, right? Like what you're doing right now, you can reach a million people in one click of a button. Whereas if you were to meet people one by one, you got to drive there, you got to book a coffee meeting, look for a table. Like it's a lot of work, right? Look for the right address. Like all that time is wasted to meet one person. Now, I'm not saying that meeting people face to face is a waste of time. It's just that now we can leverage technology, whereas you can pick and choose who you want to spend that time with. Now, if it's a high net worth client or a high net worth prospect, yeah, I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to drive to them. But if it's someone who just wants to ask me got a second question, got a minute, I'm not going to drive to them. I'm not even going to have them come to me. What I'm going to do now is, and what I've been doing is, I'm just going to screen record or record me answering a question and send them the link. And then I'm going to compile a frequently asked question folder and then just share it with them. Because just because you asked me that question doesn't mean somebody else is not going to ask me the same question. So I'm just going to save all this database. I'm just going to create that. And now anybody who has got a question, here, just go to this link and look for it.
Yes, I had billionaire, the co-founder of Priceline.com, Jeff Hoffman. He's been on my program.
Yeah.
And, you know, he told me from the 80s and the 90s eras, that's where people actually were congregating, where they was coming to live events and meeting face to face with it. And I love that live interaction. But, you know, unfortunately, when the COVID pandemic hit, you know, a lot of people got affected, you know, with their revenue models in regards to live events. But, you know, with the virtual platform now, a lot of entrepreneurs are capitalizing on that particular platforms, and they still moving forward with, producing and publishing content.
Yeah.
Daniel, let's have a conversation about money. Now, I
Yeah.
know money is not value. Money is just a facilitator to do transactions. Can
Yeah.
you explain to the audience, how would you define money?
It's a tool, man.
Mm,
Just that's all it is,
mm,
right? And it's an agreement
mm,
that we're gonna base whatever we call value at a set price. Like if you want to buy my phone, we're like back in the day we used to barter, right? If I made chairs and you are a blacksmith and you made swords, we're gonna trade, right? Or someone who had chicken and their chicken laid eggs versus someone who made bread, they're gonna trade. And it was very inconvenient back in the day because you might not need eggs, you might not need chairs, and some items are perishable. Like there's a time limit, right?
mm,
So that's when they had to go to gold and silver, and that was heavy. So that's why they created the paper dollar, right? And it was backed by gold. Now it's called fiat. So that's all it is. It's just an agreement to say, hey, how much is this? And how much your product is or your service is, it's all made up anyways, right?
mm,
So money is just, it's just an agreement of what you determine as value. Now, I don't care about the money. Like I think money has no value. It's actually time. That is where value comes from, because you're either leveraging time or you're leveraging money,
mm,
right? And entrepreneurs or businesses, they leverage time. That's why they hire employees. Like look at FedEx or Amazon, like you mentioned. Like Jeff Bezos is not the guy who's delivering our packages. He's not driving to our house with a truck and saying, here you go, sir. He's not the guy doing that.
no.
He's hiring people to do that, right? So what is he actually buying? He's buying time. So the real currency, the real value is time. The real reason why we're paying a premium for Amazon Prime and paying $100 a year for that subscription is so that we physically don't need to go to Walmart or wherever and walk through the aisles, park our car, pick out the items, and go to the cashier and check it out. Like that whole process is about 2 hours, right? Where now you just whip out your phone and you're like, okay, click, and it shows up at your front door. So what are we really buying? Are we buying a cheaper product? No, we're not. We're probably paying a premium for it, but we're saving time. So I always think that time is the real value, not money.
Right.
And money is just the agreement that we're going to trade amongst us, because that's how we pay our taxes, right? Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You said money is an agreement. So would you say that money is the byproduct of the value that you uncover?
That's it. That's it. Like we can have any product and we can determine how much it's worth. That's it. And
wow.
you can just say yes or you can say no.
I agree with you. Right? Absolutely.
If I'm gonna tell you buy this for $10, some people are gonna say yes and some people are gonna say no. If I increase the price to $1,000, more people are gonna say no. Until I prove that this is worth more value than the $1,000, right? And then what goes into somebody's mind is not the $1,000. What goes into the mind is how long will it take them to come up with $1,000 to pay me the $1,000, or how fast they can recover the $1,000 by having this material, right? Like when you buy somebody's course for $500 or $1,000, you don't value the course at $500 or $1,000. You go, I think that course has so much value in there that I will make 10 grand from the course. Right. Or else, what's the point? Because if a course is if a course is $1,000, first of all, I got to pay you the $1,000. Then I got to go through the content. that's time. That's actually more money than $1,000, right? Like if I buy a course for $1,000 and there's 30 hours of content, I don't care about the $1,000 anymore. I care about my 30 hours that I got to sit through the content. So my decision making now is there enough value in the 30 hours for me to make 10 grand or $100,000? Because if there isn't, I'm actually wasting my time now where I could be producing more money.
Absolutely. You have to basically purchase the product, then go through all the life lessons in the product in regards to the modules. And then the third action step you got to take, you have to implement what you learn with the knowledge that is actually existing in the course. So
exactly. And that's why I don't care about college. I'm like, wait, I got to pay you 100,000 or 200. I got to pay you first with money I don't have. Then I got to learn the content for 4 years. And then when I'm out of school, I'm going to ask for a job, which is the highest tax bracket. And I'm lucky to make 40 grand, right? So I'm going to work 40 hours a week for you. The government's going to tax me, and I got a loan. And I'm like, who made up that deal? Like that's a scam, right?
That's absolutely
right.
Actually,
So
they're
I'm
making more money off of
my life.
Right.
I rather not borrow the 100 grand and just go start working right away and find a business and start a business. Because no matter how much schooling you have, you're still going to make mistakes. You're still going to get scammed. You're still going to like fall through the cracks. So I don't need to pay you 100 grand to do that. I could do it myself. And it's not even the 100 grand. It's actually the time, the 4 years. Now, mind you, if you're trying to go into a specialty, like you're becoming a doctor, then that's a different story, right? But one thing I really don't understand is I don't understand business school. I don't get it. Like a lot of times business schools, they're not taught by business people. Like
not.
Like when I went to high school, when I went to college, the business courses were not taught by business people. I would be like, hey, sir, like out of respect, like, did you have a business? And it's like, no. And he's like, well, I got all the concepts in this textbook. I'm like, the textbook in real life is different, man.
They deliver in theory. They're not delivering their own reality.
Yeah. Like there's no textbook for me delivering a product and not getting paid and what to do about it. Like I've done deals for people where I spent money. I've done the work. I spent 3 months on a project and I never got paid. And I never saw the answer in a textbook of, hey, Dan, this is what you do when a customer screws you over. There's no textbook for that, right?
No,
and there's a right way to handle it and there's a wrong way to handle it, right? And you learn that through getting screwed a lot of times. And if you look at the wealthiest people today, they know how to handle problems because they've been through it all.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
They got
I like to call that
arrows in the back. they got stabbed so many times in the back.
Absolutely. College is basically a joke. But like you said, if you want to go, to become a doctor or, some type of, heart specialist surgeon, then that's required, under those specific conditions.
Yes.
But I like to call like a pre-revenue business.
Yeah.
The business is not generating income, but on the pre-revenue side, you basically are letting the people know what this business can generate in terms of income, but it hasn't generated no income yet.
Yeah.
And that's the same way with college. You pay 6 figures or more, depending on what's your major going to be, on the premise of when I graduate and get that degree, I may land a 6-figure job or I may not. And I know a lot of people that has went to college, but they've been very, very disappointed They can't even land a job that they actually went to school for, what they major in, and now you own this big bill that you got to pay back in regards to, you know, your college tuition.
Yeah,
It's just ridiculous. I just say, you know, whatever skill set you have, whatever you love to do, build a business around that, and then get around the people who's been there, done that, who's still relevant in that current industry. And then, you know, you can flourish to the next level. Now it's going to take commitment, it's going to take time, but you will get there if you are committed to accomplishing what you want to accomplish.
absolutely. And I find it very funny that most people that study a specific major, they
Mhm.
don't end up in that role, right?
That's true.
But when people want to invest in real estate, they're unwilling to pay for a real estate course.
Mm.
And I'm like, but you want to get into this now.
Mm.
And here is the playbook. Here's the blueprint. It's $500. It's $1,000. It's $5,000. Here it is on a silver platter, and there's a resistance on that. But when it comes to college, they teach you some crazy stuff that has no relevance in the today's world, and
Mhm.
we're going to spend $100,000 because it's part of the system,
Mm.
right? So that's one thing I just never understood, right?
Mhm.
And that's one thing I also teach my people. It's like you got to get the emotions out. You got to look at logics, right? Like why, when you're looking at deals or when you're making decisions, you got to take your emotions out. And the reason why you want to take away your emotions and look at facts is because the people who have the money, the people that you're borrowing money from, like lenders,
Mhm.
banks, private lenders, hard money lenders, they all operate on the logic side.
That's
The
right.
people that, yeah, they don't care that you're a nice guy. They don't care that you helped the old lady walk across the street, you walked her dog. They don't care about that. They
Mhm.
look at logic. They're like, where's the property? What's the condition of the property? Does it cash flow? What's your credit like? What's your income like? What's your down payment? That's all. They don't care about your college degree or any of that, right? So, but so that's how the lenders, the people with the money, operate. But
Mhm.
one thing I notice is that people who are trying to invest in real estate, they operate out of the emotion side. They
Or
don't,
some of them operate out of scarcity.
or scarcity, right?
Mhm.
So they start looking at marble countertops,
Mm.
like granite countertops. I'm like, I, I can care less. First of all, I'm not living in the property. Number two, I'm not getting a premium from the tenant because there's marble.
Mhm.
Um, and like, if the numbers don't work, the numbers don't work, right? And and I find this a lot with like newer investors where they get excited. And real estate investing is exciting. Don't get me wrong, it's exciting. But
Mhm.
what happens is they spend a lot of their time and energy in their day doing the non-productive stuff, the fun stuff that produce zero results. And what I mean by that is they like to look at properties. They
Mhm.
like to go. They like to go to showings. Oh, I went to this house. I went to that house. They like to. They like the excitement, the action,
They
and none of
bird
those
dog.
houses cash flow.
They're like the bird dog.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they just like looking at nice houses. You don't like the guy who likes to go to like the Lamborghini dealership but can't afford it, just a window
Mm.
shop, just to just to go and touch and feel the car. Like you can't close on that deal, but you're just gonna spend all your energy going to the dealership window shopping.
Mm.
What you should be doing is spending that time and energy getting your money right so that when you're ready, you don't need to go window shop. You could just pull the trigger.
Absolutely. And you can have that cash in your reserve account and be willing to, you know, purchase that foreign car, you know,
Yeah,
or that exotic car, you know, but
exactly.
like you were saying, you got to put in the work. But if you don't put in the work, then that dream will never become your reality because you don't have the dividends to move forward with that car transaction.
Exactly. Exactly.
Daniel, I appreciate you coming on my show today because the whole premise of my show is to educate entrepreneurs and business owners on a national, international scale that they can live the life that they truly desire, but they have to be open to these important principles. So I don't like what I see what's on the news, so I create my own news.
I love that. It's just negativity on the news. I don't watch the news.
Yes, absolutely. So every time you turn on the news, all you see is rape, pillage, plunder, recession, depression. You're getting dumped with negativity. But what people should be putting into their mental garden is positivity, information from people who are doing well, information from people who are not dwelling on tragedy, but they're dwelling more on success.
Exactly. 100% agree with you on that. Like you can't even turn on the weather channel without seeing how many people got shot in your neighborhood. Like it's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to live in the suburb, like up north, and every time I looked at turned on the news, it was all about people getting shot and stabbed downtown Toronto. And I was like, oh, I live an hour away. That's far away. It's not going to happen near me. And 2 years ago, I moved downtown Toronto. And I'm just living my life and everything looks fine to me. And then I turn on the news. I'm like, oh, somebody got shot here. So like now I'm starting to feel like they're just making this up because I live here. I'm like, nothing's happening, man. It's like a normal day. Like the sun is shining. Everybody's just going to work. Like there's no crews, no police cruisers, but every time you turn on the news, like 3 guys stabbed. I'm like, is this even happening or is it just fear mongering now? Right. So,
well, the major TV platforms, their propaganda is to keep people in fear.
Exactly. And that's what I feel, right? It's just, and that sells. That sells.
That sells. Yeah. Fear and violence and sex. That sells automatically. Exactly. And the bottom line is those are markets where people are actually investing their money into.
Yeah. Yeah. People buy that with no filter, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Daniel, let's talk about the power of using video. Now, a couple of years back, Google bought YouTube for $1.6 billion. So video is hot right now. Can you explain to the audience the power of using video? Should entrepreneurs and business owners use video to expand their brand?
100%. So I love video. You can't lie on video. Like you know, like when you send an email or when you text somebody, you can't tell what the tone is. So when I email my clients or my contacts or I text, I always throw a happy face in there. I always throw a happy face because it's like, I don't know how somebody's interpreting my message. So when you're on video, like you look relaxed or you don't, you look tense. You're either smiling or you look depressed. Like you can't hide that. And that really shows through the video. And one thing I like about video is it's evergreen, right? Like 50 years from now, I could be like in a wheelchair with a cane with gray hair. But if you look at my video, I'm going to look like this. I'm going to stay young forever. So that's one thing I really like about video, and it's leverage, right? Like you're documenting some time in the past. Like this conversation that we're having today, if we did not have this recorded, we're going to just say, hey, you remember that this one time we had this interview and that was it. We just had a conversation and nothing really happened, right? But now we have something that we can share to the rest of the world for life. And let's say somebody said, hey, Daniel, you said this. And I said, I don't think I said that. We can always go back to the video and replay that. And I think that's really important because especially when you're talking about real estate, you're talking about contracts, sometimes there's going to be disagreements, right? And that's why, like, I'm a handshake guy. I'm a man of my word, but sometimes the people that you work with are not of that. They don't have the same integrity or the same values as you. And that's when you really got to write things down, right? And you can always document the whole process and say, no, it's right here. This is what happened. This is what you said, right? So that's why I love video. So no matter which angle you take of it. Like I got a YouTube channel, and I talk about mortgages, and I interview other successful entrepreneurs too. And it's great because I do it one time and it's there for life. And anytime I get asked the same question over and over again, all I got to do is just forward the video. I don't literally have to do this over and over and over again, right? Just do it one time, move on with your life. Yeah.
So once people like you, respect you, and trust you, that's when their minds are made up and they want to invest in you because you are your brand.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like you got to be yourself. Everything shines through, right? And people are buying you. People are buying you. If people are not buying, that means that there's a hidden concern that you did not address or the client did not address, but it's up to you to figure that out, right? And that's it. Like it's a straight line with every sale. It's an open and there's a close, right?
That's right.
And in between the open and the close, there's going to be roadblocks. And it's up to the salesperson or the entrepreneur to uncover what those roadblocks are. And it's not the fact that there's roadblocks. The roadblocks are expected, right? It's expected. You're going to have a problem with my price. You're going to have a problem with the closing date. You're going to have a problem with the terms. You are going to have a problem with something. But it's up to us on how do we address it to overcome those objections, right? And that's how you get to the finish line. And that's what separates successful people with unsuccessful people, because the unsuccessful people are just going to say, oh my gosh, they're just complaining all the time about this is expensive, that's expensive. Nobody's complaining about expensive because I keep seeing realtors posting signs of, hey, this house was sold over asking.
Right.
Like, you're asking $600,000 for this house, but it's sold for 1.5 million. So you tell me if there's a price objection or not. Like, why would you pay 1.5 on a house that's listed for 600? So is price the issue now? Price is not the issue. There's other stuff that we got to uncover, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Daniel, I wrote down some powerful words, 10 being the highest and 1 being the lowest. So you can rate them in your own powerful way. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Accountability.
10, man. 10.
Perseverance.
10 is the highest, right?
10 the highest.
Okay. Yeah, man. Persevere. I think that's a 10. You got to keep going.
Value.
Value is a 10 as well. You need value.
Intellectual property.
I don't know, like 5. You don't really need to come up with your own stuff. You know what I mean? You like, if your intellectual property is very important if you're an entrepreneur, like you're coming up with your own stuff. But if you're an employee or you're self-employed, you really don't need to. You could push somebody else's product. Like, look at affiliate marketing. There's no intellectual property. So you got somebody who owns the product and you're pushing their product. You didn't come up with anything, but if you do it right, you can make a lot of money. So I don't think that that's super important, but it's important depending on what you want to do.
Family.
Family, 100%. That's a 10.
Health.
10. Without health, you got nothing.
Wealth.
Wealth, that's the whole package, man. I think I'm going to say 10 for the rest of your list. This is all important, man. I want it all.
Building great relationships.
That is a 10. Without great relationships, you can't do it alone. You cannot.
Financial literacy.
Financial literacy. I would say that's 7 or 8 because you don't need to know everything. You just need to know people that can help you, that you trust, that can guide you to the finish line. Like I don't know a lot about law, but I got a lot of lawyers that I can count on that know the law. So you don't need to know everything about money. You got to have somebody on your corner that understands money.
Leverage.
Leverage is a full on 10. There's only 24 hours in a day.
Speed of implementation.
I would say that would be a solid 8 or 9. And the reason why I would say that is you could be too early, right? There are products that are way ahead of, that were way ahead of their times, and they didn't get any adoption because people were not ready for it yet, right? And over time, it became the new thing, right? So speed is good, but I think timing is more important than speed.
Integrity.
100%, that's a 10. If people don't trust you, you back down on your word, you lose everything.
Purpose.
Purpose is, I would say that's a good 8 or 9. And the reason being is because you could still be successful, and a lot of people don't know the true purpose yet. It's not uncovered yet. Like for example, a lot of people could be working for a job. They know there's more, but and they're reaching to it. They did not reach the full purpose yet. They didn't uncover it yet. So I think it's a moving target, right? And it is important. It's a very important thing, but not everybody would have got to it right away.
Capitalism.
Capitalism is 100% a 10. Without capitalism, nothing moves. The problem we have in today's society is socialism, in my opinion, where we want something for nothing, right? And what happens is when you keep wanting something from nothing, you eventually will run out of other people's money. You're going to run out, right? It's going to collapse. Like if everybody says, I want free education, I want free food, free that, like who's paying for this? And then eventually people are just going to get stuff for nothing. And then the people who are paying for it are going to say, you know what? I'm tired of this game. I'm out. And that example is New York, California right now, right? Everybody's going to Texas and Florida. People are tired of playing that game.
Branding.
Branding is very important. I would say that's a solid 8. Like, I don't want to put everything as a 10. Everything is important. Branding is very important because you got to be able to differentiate who you are versus your competition. We are all becoming a commodity, right? There's a lot of realtors, there's a lot of lawyers, accountants, mortgage brokers, investors. We're all put in these boxes. And what you need to do is separate yourself from the crowd. And you do that through branding.
Key performance indicators.
KPIs. I think that's a good 7 or 8. You can still operate with your business without knowing your KPIs. A lot of businesses are successful. They're not as successful as they need to be or should be because they don't know their KPIs. But it doesn't mean that just because you don't know your KPIs, you're going to be a disaster, right? I think KPIs are more for fine tuning your business. You could be very successful and be very inefficient. I know some people that operate out of fax machines. Like they don't email, they don't use technology, and they're very successful, right? So I think it's more fine tuning. Would they be more successful if they adapted to certain other KPIs? Of course, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful if you don't know your KPIs.
Marketing.
Marketing is like the lifeblood of your business. that's like a solid 10. If people don't know you, they cannot transact with you. The reason why we're doing this is to actually go and expand our market share right now, right? Mm-hmm. More people need to know who Arthur is. More people need to know who Daniel is. Mm-hmm. You can't pay me if you don't know me, right? Mm. I can't deliver free content to you if you don't know who I am. Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right, that was good. That was real good, Daniel. Yeah. Can you explain to the audience exactly where they can find you?
You can find me at danielchar.com. You could Google my name. I'm all over YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I got a free event, free training coming up. You could go to danielchar.com. You could look up all the details over there. April 24th, reach out as well. We're doing an event with Edward Snowden and also Robert G. Allen. He's a godfather of the No Money Down, buying properties with no money down, and also the producer of the event, Sunil Tosiani. He's my mentor. He bought and sold.
I interviewed Sunil.
Oh yeah,
yes,
he bought and sold 77 properties his first year. Made 980,000 his first year. Good friend of mine. Great man. So come to that event, and anybody who registers for my event tomorrow at 7 o'clock, they're gonna get a free report, and this report is gonna tell you the 3 channels of financing, where you can get your money. It's going to tell you how, my heartbeat method of investing, so you never lose another real estate deal again. And also, it's going to teach you that mortgage rates don't mean anything. Right? I teach people how to make more money by paying higher rates. And they go, what? What do you mean? I'm going to make more money by paying more. So come to the free event. I'm going to show you how this is all possible.
Now, Daniel, you were involved in $150 million in real estate transactions. Can you basically reveal a case study with one of your clients where you helped them, help them raise capital to the millions category in regards to getting their deals funded?
Yeah. So I had this is one of my favorite stories. I had a client right now, well, not right now, about 8 or 9 years ago. This is when I was working at the bank. They were about to lose their home. They were late on the car payments, late on their line of credit, mortgage, and the bank was about to take their home. And I tried to work out a refinance structure to pay off all the credit card debts and everything. And the bank rejected my offer. And then I went up to head office and wrote a nice story explaining why they should allow my clients to refinance their home. And the argument was, these guys didn't pay us for 6 months. Why should we give them more money? If they didn't pay us for 6 months, if we give them more money, they're still not going to pay us. So I mentioned to them how I'm going to coach them through the transaction, how giving the client more money would actually put them in a better position, because we're going to pay off their expensive debt at 20%, and we're going to give them a loan at 3%. So we're actually going to better their situation. Not only that, not only are we getting them a lower rate versus 20% on the credit cards versus 3.6 on their mortgage, they're going to have one payment. The reason why the client was falling behind was because they had to pay the credit card, another credit card, a line of credit, car payment, mortgage. They had so many payments. So I explained to the bank that if we increase their loan, we could wipe everything off. They only had to pay one product. That was number one. Once we got that deal approved, I coached the client on how they can buy another property. We got them to 2 rental properties where they were getting cash flow. And that was all through no money down, where we refinanced their home to get the down payment. And then we financed the rest of the deal with a mortgage. And now their mortgage and the down payment was covered by the tenant. And that property went to, I believe it was almost $700,000. They eventually sold those 2 properties, and now they're in $1 million house. And that was all in a span of less than 10 years. So the moral of the story is, it doesn't matter where you are financially right now,
Mm-hmm.
if you follow the steps, you could climb out of wherever you are, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have to be invested. If you're not invested, you're gonna miss the boat
Mm.
because it gets harder and harder, right? Like people buy stocks because they want the stocks to go up. People buy houses because they want the value to go up. So if
Right.
you're not in and the value goes up, it's
Mm-hmm.
just gonna get harder. That's it,
Mm.
right?
You're absolutely correct. And I know that client got a lot of value out of you taking them through the process
Yeah.
of, getting those real estate transactions finalized. So, a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, if they're teachable and coachable, they can actually, take their lifestyle to the next level. But, you have to get the right coach that can help you through the journey in regards to, getting your goals moving forward and expanding those goals.
Yeah. You got to
Then,
take those steps. You got to follow the steps. If you
mhm,
skip a step, it's gonna cost you more time and money and energy.
that's powerful.
Yeah.
Daniel, do you have any last pearls of wisdom for the audience?
Stop putting too much emphasis on the value of money. Like
Mm,
you got to value time. This is my philosophy. I value time. I value energy,
mm,
right? Because I always tell people there's only 24 hours in a day. You
mm,
can only work so hard. Like, why should I work two full-time jobs? It's tough. You got to make more money in your one job, right? Look for new streams of income. So people like to say work smarter, not harder.
mm,
I think it's very cliche. I don't like using that term. So I like to say value time and value energy
mm.
because you need to leverage. When you understand that concept, that's where you start to expand and getting to the next level,
Mm,
right? A lot of times people don't want to buy products because they think they're so expensive. And it's not the fact that it's expensive. They're looking at how much money they make in their current wage.
mm,
And that's how they calculate.
mm,
And that's why people spend more money on the wrong products
mm.
that go down to zero, but
Yeah,
they won't invest in themselves. That will never go down to zero, right?
right.
Like every day you're learning.
Mm-hmm.
So what you should do is you should spend all your money, all your time, all your energy into improving yourself because
Right.
tomorrow you're going to get better,
Mm-hmm.
right? That, and that's about it. Like if you look at the value of a dollar
Mm-hmm.
over the last 50 years, it went down.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day with, I don't know, a quarter, you could have bought a newspaper, you could have took a bus, you could have bought chocolate, you could have bought a lot of stuff with a quarter.
Mm.
Today, to fill up your tank, I don't know how much it is in the States. Like for 1 gallon of gas, I don't know, what, $5?
Mm. More than
So
that.
more than that. Okay.
More than
So
that. Like
that
20, between $20 and $40.
for 1 gallon.
Oh, no, 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 not for 1 gallon. I was just saying just to fill up your tank.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that is the pure definition of inflation
Mm-hmm.
because the value of the dollar drops so low that you need more dollars to pay for what you currently could have bought for less money. So over that time, if you're just saving your money and valuing money, it's just going to cost you more money in the future.
Mm.
But if you take the worthless dollars today, you take this worthless dollar and you increase your knowledge base, increase your time, increase your energy, you're going to be way more wealthier. Look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk is operating what, 6 companies?
Yes.
And they're all of them are $billion companies.
Yes, he's a billionaire.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what his payroll's like? His payroll is crazy. His overhead is crazy. So is he valuing money? No. He's valuing expertise. He's valuing time. Like that, he's valuing his energy because He's not using people with shovels. He's using machinery.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're gonna put your value in, not your money. The money doesn't mean anything.
Absolutely. And money is simply energy.
That's it.
Mm.
That's it.
Daniel, I'd like to thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedule to educate me and the audience worldwide about how to raise capital, how to get your real estate deals financed. I gladly appreciate it. You are a gift from God.
Hey, man. Thank you. Thank you so much, Arthur. I'm happy to speak on your channel, your podcast, and reach out to all your subscribers. So I thank everybody for your time.
Well, I appreciate you, Daniel. I got to get you coming back on my platform so we can get more in depth about these wealth building principles. I really appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
To everyone that's listening and watching right now, I highly recommend get involved with the phenomenal Daniel Char. You hear the passion that came through his voice on my show today. He broke down layman's terms about how to raise capital to expand your real estate deals. He also talked about the true definition of how money is actually operated. I highly recommend go to his website, danielchar.com. He has incredible content that could take your mindset and your business to a whole nother level. But remember, you have to implement what you learn. Knowledge is not power. The implementation of knowledge, that's what makes it become powerful. So go to his website and just Google his phenomenal name, Daniel, Daniel, Char, Char. And his website will actually pop up. And he also has an incredible YouTube channel where he actually explains real business lessons on how you can actually raise capital to get your real estate deals financed. So, to everyone that's listening and watching right now, remember that the strongest asset that each and every one of you have is your brain, and what you think about and what you take action on that will become your reality, and your mentality creates your reality. May God bless each and every one of you, and bye for now. Thank you, Daniel. I really appreciate you and what you're doing in the entrepreneurial real estate community.
Thank you so much.
And bye for now.
Take care.
Have a pleasant day, everyone.